He thought he was marrying the love of his life until she took off her veil. Kemi was very excited. Today was his wedding day in Lagos, Nigeria. He wore his best blue suit with pretty patterns. The wedding was happening at a big, fancy hotel on Victoria Island. All his family and friends came to watch him marry his beautiful girlfriend, Aduni. The big room was full of golden lights and white flowers. Everyone was dressed in their best clothes. Kemi's mama was crying happy tears. His papa was smiling so big. All the guests were talking and laughing, waiting for the bride to come. Kemi stood at the front of the room, waiting for the most important moment of his life. The music started playing, and everyone turned to look. Aduni walked down the long path between all the chairs. She wore a long white dress that looked like a princess gown. Her face was covered with a pretty white veil, so nobody could see her face clearly. Kemi's heart was beating so fast with joy. His bride looked so beautiful walking toward him. All the guests were saying, "Oh, and so pretty." Some ladies were wiping tears from their eyes. The photographer was taking many pictures. Everything looked perfect, just like in the movies. Kemi couldn't wait to see his wife's beautiful face. As Aduni got closer, Kemi noticed something strange. Her dress was making funny sounds, like old paper being crumpled, and there was a weird smell in the air, like old fish mixed with dirt. But Kemi thought maybe he was just nervous because it was such a big day. The priest, Pastor Johnson, was ready to start the wedding ceremony. All the guests were quiet now, watching carefully. Kemi's best friend, Tande, stood next to him, holding the wedding rings. But Tande was frowning a little bit. He whispered to Kemi, "Bros, something smells funny here." But Kemi was too happy to listen. Pastor Johnson opened his big Bible and smiled at everyone. "We're here today to join Kemi and Aduni in holy marriage," he said in his loud, happy voice. All the guests clapped their hands. Kemi was so excited he was almost jumping up and down. "Kemi," said Pastor Johnson, "do you promise to love Aduni forever and ever?" Kemi said yes, so loud that everyone laughed. Then Pastor Johnson turned to the bride. "Aduni, do you promise to love Kemi forever and ever?" The bride nodded her head, but she didn't say anything out loud. Her voice sounded like wind blowing through old trees. "Yes. Now it's time for the groom to lift the bride's veil and kiss his new wife," Pastor Johnson announced. All the guests started clapping and cheering. Someone's phone was playing happy music. The photographer moved closer to take the perfect picture. Kemi reached for Aduni's veil with shaking hands. He was so excited to finally see his wife's beautiful face. His mama was crying happy tears. His papa was recording everything with his phone. All their friends were smiling and waiting for the big moment. "This is it," Kemi thought. "The best day of my whole life." Kemi lifted the white veil slowly. What he saw made him scream louder than anyone had ever screamed before. Instead of Aduni's beautiful face, there was a horrible, scary creature. Her skin was gray and falling off like old paint. Her eyes were empty holes that looked like deep, dark caves. All the guests started screaming too. Some people fell down from their chairs. Others ran toward the door as fast as they could. The creature that used to be Aduni opened her mouth, and black bugs crawled out. Her teeth were long and yellow like old banana peels. Kemi couldn't move. He was too scared to run away. The big, fancy wedding room became crazy, with scared people running everywhere. Ladies in high heels were running so fast, they left their shoes behind. Men in expensive suits were pushing each other to get to the door first. Children were crying loudly for their mamas and papas. The photographer dropped his camera, and it broke into many pieces on the floor. The wedding cake fell over and made a big mess. Beautiful white flowers were scattered everywhere as people ran over them. Pastor Johnson was praying very loudly, asking God to help them all. The creature just stood there, looking at everyone with her terrible, empty eyes. Tunde and two other friends, Biodan and Emika, grabbed Kemi by his arms. He was still standing there like a statue, too shocked to move. "Kemi, we have to go now," Tunde shouted. They pulled him away from this scary creature and toward the back door of the hotel. "What is that thing?" Biodan was crying as they ran. "That's not Aduni. Where is the real Aduni?" The creature started making horrible sounds, like a sick animal mixed with thunder. Behind them, they could hear more screaming and the sound of chairs falling over. Kemi finally started running with his friends, but he kept looking back at the terrible thing that wore his bride's dress. They ran out of the hotel into the hot Lagos sun, but the horror wasn't over. The creature came floating after them. Yes, floating! Her feet weren't touching the ground. Her white wedding dress was now torn and dirty, and dark water was dripping from it like rain. People on the street saw the terrible creature and started running too. Car drivers were honking their horns and trying to drive away fast. Some people were taking videos with their phones, but most were just screaming and running. The creature pointed one bony finger at Kemi and made a sound like Kemi 3 that was loud enough to shake the windows of nearby buildings. Kemi and his friends ran into the busy Balogun market nearby. They hid behind big bags of rice and boxes of tomatoes. The market was full of people buying and selling things, and nobody knew about the scary creature yet. They were all just doing normal market business, buying fish, vegetables, and cloth. "What happened for that wedding?" asked Mama Ngozi, who was selling oranges. She saw the 4 young men in wedding clothes hiding and looking scared. Tunde was breathing very hard. "Something terrible, Mama," he said. "We need to call the police, or maybe a pastor, or maybe a babalawo." Behind them, they could hear people screaming as the creature got closer to the market. While they were hiding, Kemi's phone rang. It was Aduni, the real Aduni. "Kemi, where are you? I've been trapped in a dark room for 3 days. Some old woman with scary eyes caught me and locked me up," she cried through the phone. Kemi couldn't believe what he was hearing. If the real Aduni was trapped somewhere else, then what was that terrible thing at the wedding? "Aduni, where are you now?" Kemi asked. "I escaped and I'm at the police station in Acacia. They didn't believe my story until people started calling about a monster at a wedding on Victoria Island." Aduni sounded scared, but happy to hear Kemi's voice. Aduni told them the whole story on the phone. 3 days ago, an old woman came to her house. The old woman said she was selling beautiful jewelry for brides. But when Aduni opened the door, the woman grabbed her and put some kind of sleeping powder on her face. When I woke up, I was in a dark room full of strange things, old bones, dead animals, and bottles with bad-smelling water, Aduni explained. The old woman kept saying she needed a young, pretty bride for her daughter, who died many years ago. She said her daughter's spirit was angry and wanted to get married. Now Kemi understood. They had been dealing with an evil spirit, not his real bride. The creature found them in the market and started speaking. Her voice sounded like wind blowing through a graveyard. "I am Falak," she said. "I died on my wedding day 50 years ago. I want to be married. I want to have a husband." All the market people started running and screaming. Falak continued her story. "My mother promised I would have a wedding. She used her magic to bring me back. I took the pretty girl's place because I want love too." Her empty eye holes started leaking dark water like tears. Even though she was scary, Kemi started to feel a little bit sorry for her. An old man in the market who sold traditional medicine stepped forward. His name was Baba Alamu, and he knew about spirits and curses. He wasn't running away like everyone else. "This spirit has been trapped between the world of the living and the dead," he explained to Kemi and his friends. Her mother used dark magic to bring her back because she couldn't accept that her daughter died. But this magic is wrong. It hurts everyone involved. Baba Alamu looked at Folak with sad eyes. The spirit is angry and confused. She doesn't understand that she can't have a normal life anymore. The only way to stop this is to help her find peace and return to where dead people should rest. Suddenly, an old woman came walking slowly into the market. She had gray hair and wore old, dirty clothes. Her eyes were red from crying. This was Folklake's mother, the woman who had kidnapped Iduni and used evil magic to bring her dead daughter back to life. "Folklake, my daughter! Come back to Mama!" the old woman cried. But Folklake turned around and looked angry. "Mama, you lied to me. You said I could be happy. You said I could have love. But I'm still dead. I'm still cold and alone." The old woman started crying harder. "I just wanted my daughter back. I missed you so much when you died." The old woman, whose name was Mama Folklake, told everyone her sad story. 50 years ago, my beautiful daughter was getting ready for her wedding day. But on the morning of the wedding, she got sick with fever and died. I couldn't accept it. I loved her too much. I went to many medicine men and women. I paid all my money for magic to bring her back. They warned me it was dangerous, but I didn't listen. I thought love was stronger than death. Mama Folklake was crying so hard she could barely speak. Now I see I was wrong. I made my daughter suffer for 50 years because I was too selfish to let her rest in peace. Folklake looked at her mother with her empty, dark eyes. "Mama, for 50 years I have been trapped. I cannot eat. I cannot sleep. I cannot feel happiness. I can only watch living people be happy while I suffer. I wanted to feel love like normal people do. That's why I tried to marry this man. But even wearing a wedding dress and standing in a church, I am still dead. I am still empty inside." Black tears kept falling from her eyes onto the ground, and where they touched, the ground turned black too. Everyone in the market felt very sad for both the mother and daughter. Even though he was very scared, Kemi felt sorry for Folklake. He stepped closer to her carefully. His friends tried to pull him back, but he said, "Wait, she's not evil. She's just sad and lonely." He looked at Folklake's horrible face and spoke gently. "Folklake, I understand you want love. Everyone wants love. But you can't take someone else's life to get it. The real Iduni was scared and hurt because of what you did." Folklake listened to Kemi's kind words. "I'm sorry you died on your wedding day. That must have been very sad. But hurting other people won't make you feel better." Folklake stopped making scary noises and just stood there, listening. Baba Alamu, the wise old man, had an idea. There is a way to help Folklake find peace, but everyone must work together. "Mama Folklake, you must perform a ceremony to break the magic you used. You must tell your daughter it's okay for her to go and rest with the ancestors. Folklake, you must forgive your mother and choose to leave the world of the living. And Kemi, you must help by showing Folklake what real love looks like, not taking someone by force, but caring about their happiness more than your own wants." Everyone in the market gathered around to listen. Even the police had arrived, but they saw this was not a normal crime. This was about spirits and magic. They all went to a quiet place by the Lagos Lagoon, where the water was calm. Mama Folklake brought out candles, cola nuts, and white cloth. She also had a small bag of the evil powder she had used 50 years ago to bring her daughter back from the dead. "I, Mama Folklake, made a terrible mistake 50 years ago. I used dark magic because I couldn't let my daughter rest in peace," she said while lighting the candles. "Tonight, I break this magic. I give my daughter permission to go and be with the ancestors where she belongs." She threw the bag of evil powder into the lagoon water, and it made the water bubble and turn dark for a moment. Folklake looked at her mother with her dark, empty eyes, but now they seemed less scary and more sad. "Mama, I forgive you. I know you loved me. But now I am tired. I want to rest." She turned to Kemi. "Thank you for being kind to me, even when I was scary. I understand now that love cannot be taken by force. Real love is when someone chooses to care about you." The wind started blowing around them, and Folklake's torn wedding dress began to look cleaner and whiter. Her horrible face started to look more peaceful, like she was finally going to sleep after being awake for 50 long years. A bright, warm light appeared in the sky above the lagoon. It was soft and golden, like sunshine, but even more beautiful. Folklore looked up at the light and smiled for the first time. When she smiled, her scary face became pretty again. She looked like the young, beautiful bride she was supposed to be 50 years ago. "The ancestors are calling me home," she said, but now her voice sounded sweet and gentle instead of scary. "I can see my father and my grandmother. They are waiting for me." Mama Folklore was crying, but these were happy tears now. "Go, my daughter. Go and rest in peace. Mama loves you, but now Mama lets you go." The light got brighter and began to come down toward them. Folklore began to float up toward the beautiful light. Her torn wedding dress became bright white again, and she looked like an angel. All the scary, dead parts of her were gone. She was beautiful and peaceful now. "Thank you all for helping me find peace," she said as she rose higher into the light. Kemi, go and be happy with your real bride. Love her every day and never take love for granted. Her voice was getting softer as she got farther away. "Mama, take care of yourself. I am happy now." The light surrounded her completely, and then both Folklore and the light disappeared. The night became quiet and peaceful again. The next day, Kemi went to the police station to get the real Aduni. When he saw her, he ran and hugged her so tight. "I thought I lost you forever," he cried. Aduni was crying too. "I was so scared, but I knew you would find me somehow." They decided to have another wedding ceremony, but this time it would be simple and small. Just their families and close friends at Kemi's family house in Surulere. No fancy hotel, no big crowd, just people who really loved them. Mama Folklore came to ask for forgiveness, and they welcomed her. She helped cook jollof rice for the small celebration. "Thank you for helping my daughter find peace," she told them with grateful tears. Kemi and Aduni got married in a beautiful, simple ceremony in the backyard of his family house. His mama cooked the best jollof rice in Lagos. His papa played music on his old guitar. All their friends danced and laughed until late at night. As they danced together as husband and wife, Kemi looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you, Folklore, for teaching us what real love means." Aduni squeezed his hand. They promised each other they would never take their love for granted and would always be kind to people who are lonely or sad. And they lived happily ever after, always remembering the important lesson that love cannot be forced. It must be freely given and received. The end. This story teaches us that love must be freely given, that we should treat lonely people with kindness, and that sometimes the scariest things are just very sad things that need our understanding and compassion.